This video is about the Fort Worth Triathlon, and those of you that are not familiar, that includes the swim, bike, and run. So it's a lot of physical activity. This was in May of 2021 at Fort Worth, Texas, and it's just to learn something about some of the participants. Tim Dawson and an incredible diabetic coma that he had from them at the end of the video here. But this is the beginning of the swim. You see there's a pretty large group. Typically each triathlete has a timer chip around the ankle so that each one can be set off individually and then they can get their time. So in this case it was each individual going off the dock that you see over there on the right. It's usually an out and back swim, so this one goes out around the buoys and then comes back to the dock, where you then run to the bike station, which is the second stage event, which is so it's a swim, bike, run. That's typically how it goes. Coming into the swim, sometimes you can be pretty tired and difficult to get up and get moving. But swim is a lot of times the most difficult part because people just haven't had a lot of swim experience. But if you get some training and maybe get involved in a swimming organization, you can. It's much more technique than muscle. You know, if you learn the technique of swimming, you can do pretty darn well. But again, it is tiring. You see most everybody here has wetsuits. The USA Triathlon sets guidelines for when wetsuits are legal, depending on water temperature. And of course, a wetsuit is very buoyant. It really helps in the swimming. Although some, like this lady, that some won't wear wetsuits because of the time it takes to get out of them. They're sometimes difficult. Here I am getting out. You see, I'm not running or anything. I'm pretty beat, because I hadn't swum much before this event, and so it's a lot of times you just gotta listen to your body and move as you can. Second stage, bike, of course, and again, that's something that maybe people haven't done in a long time. There's all kinds of material put up with numbers, so you find where your bike is located. And one of the difficulties is you might come in from the swim at a different opening and it's difficult to find your number, so you really got to watch just where that is. And here I am taking off on my bike, and you have to stay off the bike until you go over again that chip reader, for safety reasons, that's the way it's done. And now coming in off, it's usually again out and back, and again you have to get off the bike at a point so that you can walk the bike back into the bike rack, take your bike shoes off and whatever you need to do, put on your running shoes to head into the last stage. So, but the bike, you just have to get used to, the kind of ride it is, the distance it is, the kind of terrain. You can have anything from fairly easy rides out and back, somewhat flat, and then you can get out into very difficult terrain and winds. So you just have to be prepared to deal with whatever the weather throws at you. I'm coming in here on the bike. You don't see me running much. I'm just taking it easy, getting back to the racks where you gotta, find your number and then get your running gear on. So you see some people there running out. So that's leg 3, which is the run. Sometimes it's the most difficult because you're so tired after the swim and the bike. But again, you just train for these things. This was more of a sprint distance. Here I am getting ready to head out to do the run. You do a full Ironman, you run a marathon, and sometimes Sometimes it's a 10K, sometimes it's a 5K.
Oh, well, this is the Fort Worth Sprint Triathlon that I just did. It's, what is it? May the 23rd, 2021. And it's been a couple of years, so it was tough. And just having gotten the pool for a little bit, swimming in the open water is a whole lot different. So, but anyway, the whole purpose is to maintain health and fitness. Thank the Lord for the strength to do this, and I hope you enjoy some of the videos we put up about this event. Some of the people are going to be very interesting. I think you're going to really enjoy it. So flip into those Fort Worth triathlons, and you'll hear some of the stories. We're here May the 23rd, 2021 in Fort Worth, Texas. We're at the what's that called anyway? The try something triathlon.
The Fort Worth Triathlon.
And we're just have a privilege. Dawson's here with us, and we're going to let him tell his story. He's got an awesome story. Not only how he got into the sport, we're going to ask him a little bit about some of his spiritual beliefs, triathlons, health. And so you just take it away and tell us your story. We'd love to hear it.
All right. Well, it sure is good to meet John and Trish this morning, and I don't think it's a coincidence. But anyways, I've been doing triathlon for 5 years, almost exactly 5 years, and I got into it because of my health was number one. I had an episode where I went into a diabetic coma, and I passed out, and went to the doctor afterwards, and she had told me that most people that she deals with, when that happens to them, when they go into a diabetic coma, they don't make it. But fortunately for me, I passed out in the bathroom and broke the toilet, and the water running in my face, laying on the floor, is what woke me up, and I believe God was there with me. Anyways, she told me, she said, Tim, if you don't start exercising and eating right, you're going to die. And I was really, really scared. And my doctor's, she's a Christian lady, number one. I remember sitting in her office, and she saw how scared I was. Because diabetes has been one of the top diseases that's I've thought about since I was a kid. It just terrified me, and I was told I was diabetic. Anyways, she said all of her paperwork, her notebook, she set it all down and came over to me, and she says, you know what? Sometimes medicine needs to take a back seat, and we need to let God deal with this. And she prayed with me right there in her office. And maybe many doctors don't do that, but she saw how scared I was. And she said something very, very important in that prayer. She said that, sometimes God has got to be the focus, and He can do anything. He can heal anybody from anything. Anyways, I left that day, and I was depressed for like 6 days. And my depression was regret, because I had let myself go to this point to where I had the diabetes, and I was in the condition that I was. But on the 6th day, I talked to God the whole time. But you can't go back in time and redo things. I was where I was, and God spoke to me and says, Tim, I'm going to be there with you. I'm going to do my part, but you need to do your part too. So God's part is this. He put it in my heart that I had a passion for sports. I had a passion for this and that. I just wasn't doing it. So I got up and started riding my bike. And I probably could do it for 15 minutes a day. But you know what? I did all I could do. And I started eating right. A month and a half into that, I'm out riding my bike one day, and heard his voice talk to me. He said, Tim, I want you to start training for a triathlon. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm 54 years old. That's for young people. That's not for me. And he said it again. I want you to train for a triathlon. 3 times that happened, and it's like, well, I don't know if that's from God, if it's just something I'm thinking, but you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to say that's from God, and I'm going to be obedient to it. So I started doing the things that that's required to do a triathlon, and I didn't tell anybody I was going to do it. I just started doing it. I lost 61 pounds in 44 days.
Wow.
And I went back to the us diabetics have to go every 3 months and get our sugar tested. I went back to the doctor 3 months after I had passed out, and the doctors, they didn't even recognize me because I lost so much weight, and I looked a little bit different. And they did all my blood work, they did all my checking, and they said, listen, your diabetes is gone. We're going to take you off blood pressure meds. You don't take any more medicine. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. So God didn't have a magic wand when that first happened to me when I got sick, but He really does have a magic wand. It's called being obedient to Him and just following what He wants you to do. And look, it's not easy. It's hard. Doing this stuff is hard, but it's a drive He's given me. That's God's part. He's created me, and He gives me these desires. He gives me the ability, and every day I get up, I'm so thankful for what He's done for me. And I love doing triathlon. As a matter of fact, I sign up for these events because it's like an accountability partner to me.
It forces you to train, right?
Yeah, because I don't want to jump in that lake and drown because I've been sitting on the couch watching movies all day.
Right.
So you get out and you do something. So anyways, I love the Lord and I love doing triathlons.
Tim, that's such a great story. And one of the things that, as we mentioned, is not only talking to people about athletics and how it's helped the quality of their life, which is obvious in your story, but spiritual beliefs. And it's clear that you love the Lord, you're a Christian, and we're just open to people expressing themselves so that others that watch these shows not only will be motivated to get involved, that's our theme, in some activity, but to look into the really more important things of life. You know, where are we going at the end of all this?
That's right.
You know, so that's so great, Tim, that you overcame a huge obstacle. I mean,
yeah,
you were on death's door. I mean, and look at you now. You're super fit, and what? You got a second in the triathlon.
Got second today.
I love it.
Yeah, that's good.
I love it. So
this is what I was just this week. I was thinking, it's like, you know, I know God's done this for me, and when I come to these races for the past 5 years, I'm like, I want to share with these people because there's so many. Look, everybody that gets on that podium up there, the only reason they're getting on that podium is because God has given them the ability. And look, it's all about God.
Yeah, you're right.
But very few people actually acknowledge that, and I think that's the difference. I want to give God all the glory for this. It is not anything that I'm doing. It's not because I'm Superman, I'm a hero. It's because, you know, God spoke to me, He wanted me to do something, and through His grace and mercy, I got second place. I'm not looking for second place. I'm looking to go out here and do a triathlon, but I'm also looking to share the Lord. And just this week I'm thinking, I haven't had an opportunity. I just did an Ironman down in Galveston, and it's like there's not been any opportunities to do what I'm doing right here today with John and Trish. And I was almost ready to give up and say, you know, I'm just not going to do any more races. I'll still do the training for my health, but. And then I met John and Trish first thing this morning, and he started talking to me about this, and I'm like, this is another. It is another God thing. It's like I'm so glad that I met them, and they asked me for an interview, and I was just thinking, well, what is the purpose, God? I don't get to share anything. I want to share you. And here they are, and here we are making a little video. So,
well, Tim, you've made our day. I mean, this whole trip, we were praying about the Lord would just bring the people, you know, that would promote His truths and His kingdom.
Amen.
And, amen. That's so great. We're just so blessed to have run into you and to be able to do this.
Well, that makes me feel good you say that. Thank you. It's all worth it, isn't it?
It is.
It's all worth it.
All right. Anything else, Tim?
No, I think that's all. Hope I didn't talk too much.
We want to thank you for watching RedefiningAging.us. I'm John Disterdick, your host. And our goal for the series is pretty simple. We just want to enhance the quality of people's lives. So if you know of an event that you think would be one for good for us to cover, please fill out the form on our website, and not only the event and what it is, where it is, when it is, and if there's a person you know that you think would be a good person for us to do a testimony on in some event, please let us know. And if you want a fuller description of my testimony, you can either go to johndisterdick.com and look under ministry, or you can go here at redefiningaging.us. We appreciate your viewership. God bless, and hope to see you on more shows.